If you love Vanessa Lau's style of editing, this video is for you, especially if you watched her recent video showing all of the ins and outs of how she uses Descript. And although Vanessa shared literally dozens of really good Descript features, you might be wondering how she does her smooth zoom in and out and that tilt screen effect that she does. So in this video, I want to show you how to edit like Vanessa Lau in Descript with the help of a couple of other tools. But let's get started with like one of the number one burning questions that I've been asked about Descript, which is how do I make this tilt screen recording effect like Vanessa does in her videos? Unfortunately, this tilt screen effect isn't exactly replicatable in Descript, but if you use a tool like Ecamm Live to record your screen, it's a little bit of a workaround. What you're seeing right now on your screen is I have Ecamm Live open. This is actually my go-to for recording just like this, where I'm talking just to the camera, or videos where I'm recording my screen, because it will record my camera and my screen at the same time, and then I bring those recordings into Descript and edit from there. It's also a great live streaming software and all of that as well. Now, there are a couple of different ways to accomplish the perspective shift tilt screen effect. The way that's going to give you the most control and customization when you're editing is going to be to create a whole new scene. This is my webcam, by the way. Let's just call this Vanessa 1. In Ecamm, you create different scenes for different different layouts, basically. It's similar to the usage of the word scenes in Descript, but here you're going to create a scene and then record, and that recording is going to be your video that you could then edit. This is what we're going to create here, is a scene. So down here in my overlays panel, we're going to create an overlay color, and it automatically has this green applied to it, but I'm just going to hit the little barely noticeable, but that's a pencil icon. I'm going to choose green, and then we need another overlay of our screen share. So I'm going to place this on my scene, and I'm just going to edit it. If I hit the little pencil icon again, I can choose the display. So obviously I'm going to choose my primary display. Border, I have it set to white. And then of course you have corner radius. We're going to look for perspective. This is what we need to have happen. This is what makes that perspective shift, that tilt screen. So you can see I have my YouTube open. We have Vanessa's video pulled up, and you can see how she has her screen with the perspective shift, this perspective tilt here, but she is way over here on the left-hand side. So how would we set this up in Descript? Well, because I recorded my screen and my face at the exact same time in Ecamm, I'm left with two separate files. I'm just going to pull these two files down here. It's going to ask, do I want to combine these into a multi-track sequence? And yes, I do. Let's hit done. Now, I did do a whole video on how I edit a multi-track sequence, but let me give you a quick refresher. By the way, I am using Descript's new timeline, and if I double click on this track on the timeline here, it's going to open up this sequence, this multi-track sequence. So you can see we have these two tracks, and we only want one of these to be audible. So I'm just going to mute one of my tracks. Now this is still transcribing, but that's okay, because this little last part of this clip here is the part that I'm going to show you. Let me first just make sure we do have a scene here, because this came in as two clips. So this clip right here is its own multi-track sequence, and it is also its own scene. What I'm going to do is make this whole thing a little bigger, get rid of these. We'll drag our timeline down a little bit. And now we can manipulate these two files here within our frame. We're going to take the whole background recording with the tilt screen and make that full screen. Now we need to get rid of this green background. So I'm not going to use the green screen in the AI tools. What I actually need to do is come down to layer, go to visual effects, and then chroma key, and you can see what it just did. It automatically detected that green. It also removed green from like the browser. We can make sure that similarity is in the right spot so that it got rid of the background green, but not the green that's like in the browser. But we are still left with a black background, and we probably don't want that. So let me just grab one of my background images that I like to use. So let me just throw this down here into the scene, and then under scene, I'm just going to go to layers and pull this down to the very bottom. So can you see what's happening now? It got rid of that green, removed it completely so that you can see through it and you can actually see whatever I have back here in my background. Part of the problem is solved, but you can see how Vanessa has herself fading into a background image. Let's make me a little bit bigger. We'll move myself over, and then we're also going to move myself below this. And at this point, I could reposition this like this. We could move myself over here. And this doesn't look exactly the same for two reasons. One, my like face and body is filling way more of the frame than Vanessa's is. Plus, the way that she recorded herself, she's not looking at the camera, she's looking at her screen. So what if we came over to Canva, we created a square image, and then I just found an image of like a green screen gradient. I just searched under elements, I searched for gradient transparent, and then changed the color to green. And then let's hit share, download. We want transparent background. Now back over here in Ecamm, you might want to set this up and create some test clips for yourself just to make sure that it is going to look the way you want. And then we have a couple other things that we need to fix, because as you can see, Vanessa is recording herself looking like at the screen, which right now I'm using my camera that's above my monitor. And I could pull this camera in and put it on my like in the scene here if I just hit new camera overlay. So let's go to the pencil icon, and then I have this camera connected through my cam link, but I also have my other camera set up on my tripod arm. Aside from the layout issues, I'm looking at the screen recording, right? I'm looking that direction. So one of the things that I had to do to make that happen is under camera effects, I had to mirror this image, because it all depends like where your camera is and where your monitor is. Now, I know it doesn't look anything like Vanessa's yet, but if I make myself a little bit bigger, move myself over a little bit, and remember, I could move the camera to be wherever I need it to be so that I'm in the frame the way that I want myself to be in the frame. Under our overlays over here, we can put my screen share above. We still have this issue of the green screen behind us. That's where bringing in that gradient image that I just made in Canva might work out here, because you can see what's happening is if I just bring this sort of to the edge, I should be able to basically kind of make myself fade out. Bring our screen share in front and see what's happening here. Okay, so I'm going to move over just a little bit here like this. So I can talk directly to the camera. You can see me. My screen's over here, and it's recording myself. It's recording the green, this green gradient here, but then it's going to fade out to whatever the background is inside of Descript. And then I'm recording my screen, right? So I can do whatever I want. I could switch this out, and whatever I want to record on my screen, I'm recording on my screen. By the way, I realize I never introduced myself in this video. So if you're new here, my name is Meredith. I dedicate this channel to helping you look good, sound good, and feel good on camera so that you can build your thriving video brand. And if you love learning how to create pro-looking videos in Descript, make sure you subscribe to my channel and also download my free Descript cheat sheet. I'll put a link down in the description. Now, back to the lesson. Okay, so I've pulled this clip into Descript. Let's make this whole thing the full size here. See, we don't need this camera angle, so I'm just gonna leave it there. We're going to bring in our background image from earlier in this project, and let's just paste that in here. I do have this whole section where I am recording my screen like this, isolated in its own scene here. And I don't even have it transcribed. So we're just kind of looking at this one little section. So with this clip selected, let's go to layer and then visual effects and then chroma key. See what's happening here? Here I am talking. It looks like I'm looking at my screen, but then I can look at the camera. The background is there. I think it would be cool to have a little bit more gradual of a gradient there, but that's definitely something that we could work on. So if you recorded yourself this way in Ecamm, where the whole entire scene is already set up with your tilted monitor, your camera, and your face and everything, then you would just be able to go through and edit this video the way that it is. You don't even have to do a multi-track edit or anything, because your face is on the screen, your screen recording is on the screen, and everything is already like tilted and in place the way that it needs to be. Now, between you and me, I'm hoping that enough people are interested in this tilt screen feature that Descript makes that feature available inside of Descript. I think that would be really cool. Okay, now what about the smooth zoom in and out kind of effect that Vanessa does, like this? Now, Vanessa already showed how to create text and have it appear behind you. I might do a separate video on that myself, but what I want to show you is how to easily and smoothly zoom in and out like she does in her video. Okay, so I pulled up an older project here in Descript, and I just have this one section where I'm saying the wacky thing is something something. So in this one section, I'm going to hit the slash button on my keyboard. That's going to create a scene. And then it kind of depends how long we want our zoom in to last, but put another slash here so you can probably barely see this, but we have this one scene here that's isolated. This is so simple, it's almost silly. So with the clip selected where it's isolated here, I'm just going to grab my corner down here, and if I hit the option button on my keyboard, it's going to, like, as I scale the image up or down, it'll scale all of the corners, right? So I'm going to just scale it up a little, which gives the illusion of zooming in. And then I like to kind of reframe a little bit if I'm going to zoom in. And then you can see that in the scene before, my frame looks like this, and then it zooms in, and then after it goes back again, right? But how do we smooth it out? If you don't have your smart transitions turned on in your settings, which I have here, apply smart transitions to new scenes, I have that turned on. So automatically it's going to create that smooth transition. Now the wacky thing is, and this is what I want you to hear, and I'm not the only one that does this. If you don't have the smart transitions automatically, then just with your cursor bar, that scrubber bar in your scene, if you go to scene on the right hand side, you can add a transition. You can add that smart transition, and it's automatically going to make that effect smooth. So if you zoom super far in, it's going to smoothly zoom super far in. You can control the duration. Sometimes Vanessa and others do a little bit of a slow zoom in, and then other times it's a little bit of a faster zoom in and out. So you can change the duration of the transition just by using your smart transitions. Now, one thing you might have noticed throughout this video is I do a lot of zooming in and out of my screen recording, but it still stays within the frame of that screen recording. I want to show you how to do that because it's also incredibly simple. So I have a section here where I need to zoom in down in the timeline. I'm going to need to zoom in over here on the right hand side, and we're going to kind of move all over the place. So right now I have a scene boundary that starts here, it ends here. We're going to add a couple more scenes as we go, but let's start with we know right here I'm talking about something to do with the timeline. So I want to zoom in just to that part of the timeline. I have my screen recording selected in the frame. Up here at the top, there's this little crop button and 100%. What we can do is basically zoom in, crop in on the frame, and then just grab the file and move it exactly where you want it to go. We can zoom in a little more even if we wanted to, like this. And because I have my smart transitions turned on, every zoom in, zoom out, or move around within the frame is going to be smooth. So we want it to stay kind of zoomed in a little bit, but then there's a place where I need to go to that sidebar over on the right hand side. So I'm just going to put a slash in my timeline to create a new scene. And from here, I'm going to, again, select the recording in the frame, and you have to be careful with this because if I just start dragging this around, it's going to drag the whole frame around, and that's not what I want, right? So if we go to enter crop mode, or you can double click and it will go into crop mode. Now I can drag the inside of the frame around where I want it to go. So we'll put it like right here. So let's see what the whole thing looks like now. Transitions automatically, then just with your cursor bar, that scrubber bar in your scene, if you go to scene. And one more thing that Vanessa mentioned in her video where she went over the dozens of features in Descript and ways that she edits her videos, she mentioned layouts and layout packs. Descript gives you a bunch of kind of like default layout pack options. You could choose one of these options. You could change the font, change the color, make it yours, make it work for your branding, and then right click on your scene and hit save scene as new layout. And now you'll be able to create your own layout pack that you can just pull from every single time that you edit your video. Or you could set up your own layout pack from scratch if you just, say you want to add your captions and then you want to change the colors, make these work for what you want them to look like for your own brand and whatnot. You can build a layout like this from scratch, add your logo, add whatever you want on here, then right click on that scene and save that scene as a new layout. That way you're not reinventing the wheel every time. And when you want to add your lower third, even like your background music, sound effects, things that you reuse in all of your videos, save them as your own layout pack. And then all you have to do is go to your scene, choose a layout pack. You can change over, like I have a bunch of my own layout packs, some for my podcast, some just like kind of general. In fact, I recently created a layout pack of over 124 different layouts for vertical videos, horizontal videos, square videos, and I put these inside of my Video Editing Made Easy course. If you buy the course, all you have to do is click a link to add all of these layout packs directly to your Descript. And I mentioned that I do have a free Descript cheat sheet that I'll put down in the description below this video. I have my keyboard shortcuts on there and everything. So you can print it out, you can keep it beside you when you are editing. And if you like learning how to create pro-looking polished videos with Descript, this is the channel for you. Make sure you hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.